Imagine waking up to a new day. The sun is rising, casting its golden light on the world, and you take a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill your lungs. In that moment, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? Is it gratitude? Gratitude is one of those emotions that, when fully embraced, has the power to transform our lives. It's the quiet acknowledgement of the gifts, both big and small, that surround us every day. It is the soft smile of a friend, the comforting warmth of family, and even the simple act of breathing in the fresh morning air. In a world where we often rush from one task to the next, it's easy to forget the beauty of being thankful. But when we pause just for a moment to reflect on the blessings in our lives, we begin to see the world through a different lens, a lens that shines with the light of compassion, love, and interconnectedness. Now, imagine that this practice of gratitude is not just an emotion, but a powerful force for inner peace and spiritual growth. This is where the teachings of the Buddha come in. In Buddhism, gratitude is not just about saying thank you. It is a way of being, a mindset that brings us closer to the truth of our existence. It is the understanding that everything, from the smallest flower to the vast universe, is interconnected. Gratitude in Buddhism invites us to awaken to the interconnectedness of all life, and to feel deep appreciation for the efforts of others, the wonders of nature, and the very essence of being alive. In this essay, we will explore the profound teachings of the Buddha on gratitude, a practice that leads us not only to a deeper sense of appreciation, but also to spiritual freedom. We will uncover how gratitude can dissolve the walls of selfishness and suffering, how it can heal the heart and mind, and how it opens the door to enlightenment. This is not just about feeling thankful. It's about living a life infused with the wisdom of gratitude, where every moment becomes a reflection of the deep interconnectedness we share with the world around us. So, let us begin this journey together toward understanding the power of gratitude through the lens of Buddha's timeless teachings. Section 1. The concept of gratitude in Buddhism. Imagine walking through a forest. The path is lined with towering trees, their leaves whispering in the gentle breeze. As you step lightly on the earth, you feel the coolness of the soil beneath your feet and hear the distant song of a bird. You pause, and in that moment, something inside you stirs. You feel a deep sense of connection with the trees, the soil, the air, and the bird. You realize, without even thinking, that you are part of something much greater than yourself. The forest is not separate from you. It is a reflection of you, and you are a part of it. This is the essence of gratitude in Buddhism. Gratitude, as understood in the Buddhist tradition, is not merely about feeling thankful for what we receive. It is a deeper awareness, a recognition of the interconnectedness of all things. The Buddha taught that every experience, every moment of our lives, is linked to countless others, and our ability to acknowledge this is what allows us to develop true gratitude. It's not just about being thankful for a gift, but understanding that everything we have, every moment of joy and peace has come into our lives through the efforts of others, through the very fabric of existence that holds all things together. In Buddhism, we learn to see that nothing exists in isolation. The law of dependent origination, or pratitya samutpada, is the foundation of this understanding. It teaches us that all things are interconnected and interdependent. Nothing stands alone. Your life, your happiness, your struggles, and even the food you eat are all the result of countless causes and conditions. When you take a step back and reflect on this, you realize how much you owe to the people around you, to the natural world, and to the very workings of the universe. Consider for a moment the effort that goes into every meal you eat. The rice you eat has been grown by farmers, tended to with care and patience. The vegetables were cultivated under the sun, nurtured by the earth. The spices were harvested from distant lands, carried across oceans and mountains to reach your table. When you truly open your heart to this, you realize how much there is to be grateful for the hands that worked, the earth that nourished, the sunlight that warmed. Gratitude arises from this awareness, from recognizing that nothing we experienced is simply a result of our own efforts. The Buddha's teachings on gratitude go beyond a simple acknowledgement of others. They invite us to recognize the depth of our interdependence and the immense wisdom in giving thanks for every single moment, no matter how small. The Buddha once said, "As a mother would protect her only child with her life, even so, let one cultivate a boundless love toward all beings." This love is rooted in gratitude. When we are aware of how much we owe to others, how much they contribute to our lives, our hearts naturally overflow with love and appreciation. Gratitude becomes a way of life, a way to see the world with clearer eyes, to live in harmony with all that is around us. And this is not a fleeting emotion, but a practice. Buddhism teaches that true gratitude requires mindfulness. It's about being present in each moment, noticing the small details, the breath in your lungs, the kindness of a stranger, the smile of a loved one. The more we practice being mindful, the more we begin to see how much there is to be grateful for. In this sense, gratitude becomes a lens through which we view the world, a lens that reveals beauty, kindness, and love where we might otherwise see only routine or hardship. Gratitude is also intertwined with other core teachings of Buddhism, like compassion and non-attachment. As we recognize our interconnectedness, we naturally develop a sense of compassion for others. Gratitude softens our hearts and allows us to see the struggles of others with empathy. We begin to understand that they, too, are part of this vast web of existence, and we share in their joys and sorrows. In this way, gratitude becomes the root of compassion, the very force that connects us to the suffering and happiness of others. But gratitude, in the Buddhist sense, goes even deeper. It asks us to embrace non-attachment. In our modern world, we often express gratitude in terms of material things. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the favor. While this is important, Buddhist gratitude asks us to go beyond these outward expressions and develop an inner sense of appreciation that isn't dependent on what we have or receive. It teaches us to be grateful not just for the things we can hold in our hands, but for the moments, the relationships, the feelings, and the experiences that shape our lives. In this way, we learn that the truest form of gratitude comes not from attachment, but from an open heart that accepts life in all its forms, with all its beauty and impermanence. In the Buddhist tradition, gratitude isn't just a fleeting feeling, it is a path to awakening. It's the doorway that leads us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. It is a practice of seeing the beauty in the ordinary, of recognizing the sacred in the mundane. When we practice gratitude in this way, we begin to see how the smallest acts, whether it's the smile of a stranger or the warmth of the sun on our skin, are reflections of the divine, and we are filled with a profound sense of awe and appreciation. Gratitude, in Buddhism, is a mirror. It shows us who we truly are and helps us reconnect with the world and with each other. It reminds us that no one is truly self-made, and every success, every joy, and every blessing is the result of the love, effort, and compassion of countless others. It is a lesson in humility and recognition, a lesson in how to live, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us. And this, the Buddha taught, is the path to true peace. Section 2. Buddha's teachings on gratitude. Picture this: you are sitting quietly by the river's edge, the sound of the water flowing over the rocks, calming your mind. As you close your eyes and breathe deeply, you begin to reflect on all that has led you to this moment. The trees that have grown tall over many years, the people who have touched your life in ways big and small, the countless moments that have brought you here. And in that stillness, you feel something shift deep within you. Gratitude, vast and all-encompassing, washes over you. You feel connected, not just to the river or the trees, but to everything, every being, every event. Every breath has played its part in shaping who you are today. This is the essence of Buddha's teachings on gratitude. The Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, saw that gratitude was not just an emotion to be felt, but a powerful spiritual tool that connects us to the deeper truths of existence. His life, his journey toward enlightenment, was filled with lessons on how to embrace gratitude in every moment. When he sat beneath the Bodhi tree, seeking the truth of life, it wasn't just for his own liberation. It was for the benefit of all beings, because he understood that his awakening was intricately tied to the awakening of others. The Buddha's teachings remind us that to be truly grateful, we must not only recognize the goodness in our own lives, but also acknowledge the profound interconnectedness of all beings. One of the most poignant aspects of Buddha's teachings on gratitude is his emphasis on the value of teachers and mentors. In Buddhism, gratitude toward those who teach and guide us is deeply cherished. The Buddha himself spoke often of the debt he owed to his teachers, especially to his own spiritual journey. He once said, "Just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, even so, let one cultivate a boundless love toward all beings." This is not just a teaching on love, but on the deep gratitude that love arises from. Just as we feel immense appreciation for those who teach us, whether it's a parent, a mentor, or a friend, we are reminded that the wisdom they impart is a gift that transforms our hearts and minds. The Buddha's life was a testament to this truth. When he left his family, his kingdom, and his comfortable life in search of enlightenment, he did so not out of dissatisfaction with his life, but because he wanted to understand the suffering of others. His journey was fueled by a deep sense of compassion and gratitude for all beings, knowing that the key to alleviating suffering was not just his own liberation, but the liberation of all. Gratitude, for the Buddha, was not an abstract concept. It was a living force that motivated his every step, his every action. It was a force that propelled him to teach others and to share the wisdom he had gained. The Buddha also spoke of the importance of gratitude toward our parents. In one of his discourses, he reminds us that the debt we owe to our parents is unmatched. It is because of our parents that we are able to live and experience this precious life. Gratitude toward our parents is not just about acknowledging the material things they have given us, but recognizing the love, the nurturing, and the sacrifices they made to bring us into the world and care for us. In Buddhist teachings, showing gratitude toward our parents is seen as a sacred duty, a way to honor the profound gift of life itself. But gratitude, according to the Buddha, is not confined to the people we love or those who have helped us in obvious ways. It extends to all beings, and even to the circumstances we find ourselves in. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha teaches that we should be grateful for all the experiences we encounter in life, both pleasant and painful. Why? Because in his eyes, every experience holds the potential to teach us something valuable. Gratitude, then, becomes a transformative force in our lives, not merely for what we receive, but for the lessons we learn and the growth we experience along the way. The Buddha also teaches us that gratitude has the power to heal. In a world filled with suffering, it's easy to get lost in our own pain, to focus on what we lack or what has been taken from us. But the Buddha's teachings remind us that by shifting our focus toward gratitude, we can change the way we relate to our suffering. By seeing the beauty in the smallest things, whether it's a fleeting moment of peace or the kindness of a stranger, we begin to heal. Gratitude is the antidote to bitterness, to regret, to the weight of past pain. It is the balm that soothes our hearts and brings us back to the present moment, where peace resides. This is why the Buddha placed so much importance on the practice of mindfulness, because it is through mindfulness that we can cultivate gratitude in the moment. When we are fully present, we can begin to see the blessings that surround us, even in the midst of hardship. The Buddha teaches that every moment holds the potential for gratitude, and it is through cultivating this awareness that we come to realize how much there is to be thankful for. Whether it's the breath in our lungs or the simple beauty of a flower, everything is interconnected, and everything is worthy of our gratitude. In his teachings, the Buddha also reminds us that gratitude leads to generosity. When we are grateful, we naturally wish to share our blessings with others. Gratitude opens the heart and inspires us to give not out of obligation, but out of the deep understanding that all we have is a gift. Generosity becomes an expression of gratitude, a way of giving back to the world that has given us so much. In Buddhism, this cycle of gratitude and generosity creates a ripple effect. As we give, we receive. As we express our appreciation, we invite more goodness into our lives. It's not a transactional exchange, but a flow of love and compassion that transcends boundaries. The Buddha's teachings show us that gratitude is the key that unlocks the door to peace, to love, and to enlightenment. So, as we walk this path of life, let us remember the Buddha's words, and let us walk with hearts full of gratitude. Gratitude for the teachings, for the teachers, for the challenges, and for the small moments that often go unnoticed. In embracing gratitude, we begin to see the world not as something separate from us, but as something we are deeply connected to. And in this understanding, we find true peace. Section 3. Gratitude as an antidote to negative emotions. Imagine for a moment that you're carrying a heavy burden. Perhaps it's anger, frustration, or regret. It's that constant feeling that weighs on your chest, like a stone you can't set down. Every thought and every interaction feels tainted by it, and it's as if the world around you becomes darker with each passing day. You wake up, and the heaviness is still there, lurking in the background. But what if, just for a moment, you could set that burden down? What if, instead of focusing on what's wrong, you focused on what is good, even in the smallest of things? This, in essence, is the transformative power of gratitude. The Buddha taught that negative emotions like greed, hatred, and delusion, the three poisons, are at the root of suffering. These emotions cloud our minds and make it difficult to see the truth of who we are and the interconnectedness of all life. But gratitude, when practiced consistently, has the ability to act as an antidote to these poisons. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, from what divides us to what unites us, and from suffering to joy. Consider the power of gratitude in the face of anger. Anger is a burning fire that consumes everything in its path. It can distort reality, making us see everything through a lens of bitterness. But when we cultivate gratitude, we begin to see that anger is often a reaction to feeling misunderstood or hurt. In moments of anger, instead of reacting impulsively, we can pause and reflect on the things we are grateful for. The Buddha taught that if you want to conquer the anger in your heart, remember that anger will never bring peace. Gratitude helps us step back from that fire, cool our minds, and recognize that the person or situation we are angry at is also part of the same interconnected web of existence. In seeing this, we can respond with compassion rather than rage. Similarly, hatred is another negative emotion that the Buddha spoke about extensively. Hatred arises when we view others as separate from ourselves, when we see them as obstacles or enemies in our path. But gratitude, in its purest form, brings us back to the realization that we are all part of the same whole. No one is exempt from the blessings of life, and even those who have wronged us are not beyond compassion. The Buddha's teachings remind us that hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. Gratitude nurtures this love, an appreciation for the shared humanity in all beings, regardless of their actions. When we are able to shift our perspective from a mindset of separation to one of interconnectedness, the hatred begins to dissolve, replaced by a sense of peace and understanding. Now, let's turn to delusion, that clouded state of mind where we cannot see things as they truly are. We are often so caught up in our desires and fears that we fail to recognize the beauty and truth that exists all around us. Gratitude helps us to pierce through that delusion. It is like a light in the darkness, guiding us back to the present moment, where everything is clear and true. The Buddha taught that, just as a flower does not pick and choose the bees that come to it, so too must we embrace life with open arms, without discrimination. When we practice gratitude, we begin to see life as it is beautiful in its imperfection, fleeting in its nature, but precious nonetheless. Gratitude helps us let go of the illusion that we are separate from others, that we are isolated in our suffering. It reminds us that all beings, just like us, are experiencing the ebb and flow of life, with its joys and sorrows. When we can recognize this shared experience, we are able to release the negative emotions that keep us trapped in a cycle of suffering. Gratitude brings us into alignment with the truth of our interconnectedness. But the antidote that gratitude offers is not just a mental shift. It also has a profound effect on our emotions and physical well-being. Buddhist teachings often point to the importance of cultivating joy, and gratitude is the seed from which joy blossoms. When we stop and appreciate what we have in the present moment, we begin to feel lighter, freer. It's as though we are no longer holding on to the past or worrying about the future, but are simply thankful for the now. The Buddha once said, "Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions." Gratitude is one of the most powerful actions we can take to create happiness from within. Think about how it feels when you are truly grateful for someone, when you appreciate their presence in your life. The warmth you feel in your chest, the smile that naturally appears on your face. It is a form of emotional release. Gratitude allows us to release all that weighs us down and opens us up to experiencing life more fully. It allows us to celebrate the good in ourselves and in others. And in doing so, we align ourselves with the flow of life. We become more compassionate, more forgiving, and more open-hearted, even in the midst of hardship. When life feels overwhelming and full of challenges, gratitude helps us to see the silver lining. It doesn't deny our pain or struggles, but it allows us to embrace them with a different perspective. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that suffering is an inherent part of life, but how we respond to suffering is what determines our peace. Gratitude teaches us that, even in our pain, we can find something to be thankful for. The pain itself can be a teacher, showing us our strength, resilience, and capacity for growth. This shift in perspective allows us to face life with grace and equanimity, accepting what comes and moving forward with an open heart. Ultimately, gratitude in Buddhism is not just about avoiding negative emotions. It is about embracing life with an open heart, free from attachment and judgment. It is about acknowledging the beauty in the ordinary, finding peace in the chaos, and loving even when it feels difficult. When we practice gratitude, we open ourselves to the abundance of life, and in doing so, we find the strength to move through our struggles with greater ease and compassion. So, as you go through your day, remember this: the next time anger rises, or hatred threatens to cloud your mind, or delusion tries to pull you away from the truth, pause, take a breath, and in that moment, choose gratitude. Let it be the antidote that transforms your emotions, clears your mind, and brings you back to the present, where peace and joy await. Section 4. Practical ways to cultivate gratitude in daily life. Imagine waking up in the morning, the soft light of dawn filtering through your window. The world is still quiet, and the day is full of possibilities. But as you stretch and take in a deep breath, you feel the weight of your thoughts, the worries, the responsibilities, the distractions of everyday life. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, isn't it? To forget the small moments that make life so beautiful, to overlook the gifts we often take for granted. But what if you could start your day with a simple practice that shifts everything? What if, that instead of jumping straight into the noise of the world, you took a moment to pause, breathe, and feel gratitude? This is where the power of cultivating gratitude truly begins. The Buddha's teachings remind us that mindfulness is the key to seeing the beauty in each moment. And gratitude, in its purest form, is a practice of mindfulness, a conscious choice to pay attention to the blessings all around us. In this section, we'll explore how to bring this powerful practice into our daily lives. Start small. Begin by taking just a few minutes in the morning, before the world demands your attention, to reflect on what you are grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of your bed, the sound of birds singing outside, or the loved ones you share your life with. This is the first step, being present. In Buddhism, mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware and alive to each moment, without distraction. When we approach life with mindfulness, we begin to notice the blessings we might have otherwise overlooked. The Buddha encouraged us to be present in the present moment, because that is where true happiness and gratitude reside. But how do we deepen that practice of gratitude beyond just a fleeting thought? Gratitude journaling is one simple but powerful way. Every evening, before bed, take a few moments to write down at least 3 things you are thankful for that day. These don't have to be grand events. Sometimes the smallest moments hold the greatest beauty. Maybe it's the smile of a stranger, a kind word from a friend, or a moment of peace in nature. Writing them down not only strengthens your connection to gratitude, but it also helps you shift your mindset. Instead of focusing on what went wrong or what you lack, you begin to cultivate an attitude of appreciation for what you already have. As you make gratitude a daily practice, you begin to notice how it transforms your interactions with others. Expressing gratitude is another beautiful way to integrate this practice into your life. When was the last time you told someone how much you appreciate them? Often, we take those around us for granted, but expressing gratitude strengthens relationships. The Buddha taught that showing appreciation toward others is a form of loving kindness, or metta. When we take the time to thank someone for their support, for their kindness, or even for their presence in our lives, we not only lift their spirits, but we also strengthen our own hearts. Gratitude, in this way, becomes a bridge, a way of connecting with others in a deeper, more meaningful way. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time you truly paused to thank your parents, a teacher, a friend, or a colleague? It's easy to get swept up in the busyness of life and forget to express our appreciation. But when we do, it has the power to transform not just the other person's day, but our own as well. The Buddha often spoke of the importance of gratitude toward our teachers, recognizing that their wisdom and guidance are invaluable gifts. We can practice this by acknowledging the teachers in our lives, whether they are spiritual, emotional, or intellectual, and expressing our heartfelt thanks. Another powerful way to cultivate gratitude is through generosity. The Buddha taught that gratitude is not only about receiving, but also about giving. When we feel deeply thankful, we naturally want to give back. It could be as simple as offering a smile to someone who is struggling, sharing a meal with a neighbor, or volunteering your time to help those in need. In Buddhism, dana generosity is a fundamental practice. Generosity isn't just about giving material things. It's about giving our time, our energy, and our love. When we give with a grateful heart, we not only help others, but we also cultivate more gratitude within ourselves. The act of giving becomes a reminder of how much we have to be thankful for. It's also important to remember that gratitude can be found in the most ordinary moments of life. Mindful gratitude invites us to appreciate the simple, everyday acts that we often take for granted. When you're eating, truly taste your food. When you're walking, feel the ground beneath your feet. When you're spending time with loved ones, be fully present with them, without distraction. The Buddha taught that all of life is sacred, and when we approach each moment with mindfulness, we begin to see the sacredness in everything. The simple act of being aware, of slowing down, and of savoring life helps us develop a deeper sense of gratitude. But what if life is not going the way we want? What if we're going through a difficult time, and it's hard to feel thankful for anything? The Buddha's teachings on gratitude don't require us to ignore our pain or pretend that everything is perfect. Instead, they encourage us to find gratitude even in suffering. The Buddha didn't shy away from acknowledging the reality of suffering, but he also taught that suffering is not the end. It is a part of life, and it can be a teacher. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the challenges we face. It means recognizing that even in hardship, there is something to be learned. Perhaps suffering opens our hearts, helps us develop patience, or teaches us the value of compassion. When we can see suffering through the lens of gratitude, we are no longer victims of it. We are empowered by it. The Buddha said, "The mind is everything. What you think you become." In this way, gratitude shapes our minds. The more we practice it, the more it becomes a natural part of who we are. It shifts our perception from lack to abundance, from disconnection to interconnection, from fear to love. Gratitude becomes the lens through which we see the world, and the more we practice, the more we begin to notice the blessings that surround us. As you go through your day, I invite you to try this pause. Take a breath and find something to be grateful for, no matter how small. It could be the warmth of your morning coffee, the sound of laughter, or simply the fact that you are alive. In this moment, you are alive, and that is something to be deeply thankful for. Gratitude is not a destination, it is a journey. And with each step, we grow more connected to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. Section 5. The benefits of gratitude in Buddhist practice. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, tranquil lake. The water stretches endlessly before you, mirroring the sky above in perfect harmony. As you gaze across the water, you feel a deep sense of peace, an overwhelming stillness that fills every corner of your being. The world around you seems to pause in this moment, and in that stillness, you realize something profound. Gratitude has a way of opening our hearts and minds to the beauty that already exists within and around us. Gratitude, in the teachings of the Buddha, is not just a pleasant emotion or a fleeting sentiment. It is a transformative force, a practice that, when embraced fully, leads to profound changes in our inner lives. The Buddha's teachings on gratitude show us that it is not merely a way to appreciate the world around us, but a path to deeper peace, greater compassion, and ultimately, enlightenment. When we open our hearts with gratitude, we are no longer weighed down by the burdens of resentment, fear, or regret. Instead, we are uplifted, free to experience life as it truly is beautiful, interconnected, and full of potential. One of the most powerful benefits of gratitude, as taught by the Buddha, is that it leads to spiritual growth. In Buddhism, the journey to enlightenment is one of overcoming the inner obstacles that cloud our minds, the three poisons of greed, hatred, and delusion. These are the forces that bind us to suffering. But gratitude, when practiced sincerely, dissolves these poisons. Gratitude brings us back to the present moment, where we can appreciate the blessings of life without clinging to them or taking them for granted. When we practice gratitude, we begin to see beyond the surface of our experiences, understanding that everything, even suffering, has value. We learn to release our attachment to what we think we need and to appreciate what we already have. The Buddha said, "If you knew what I know, you would not cling to what is impermanent." Gratitude helps us to see the impermanence of life with wisdom. Rather than resisting the changes that life brings, we begin to embrace them with an open heart. We accept that joy and sorrow, success and failure, are all part of the same cycle. Gratitude enables us to move through life's ups and downs with equanimity, appreciating the moments of happiness and finding lessons in times of hardship. Gratitude also opens the door to compassion, an essential virtue in Buddhism. When we recognize how much we owe to others, when we realize that everything we have is the result of the kindness and efforts of countless beings, we naturally develop a deep sense of compassion. We see that we are not separate from others, but interconnected in a vast web of existence. This realization brings us closer to the core Buddhist practice of loving kindness metta. As we cultivate gratitude, we begin to see the suffering of others more clearly and feel a deep desire to ease their pain. Gratitude shifts our focus from the self to the other, nurturing our capacity for compassion and understanding. The Buddha's teachings remind us that compassion is not just an emotion, but an action. Gratitude transforms our hearts, turning our awareness into a desire to help, to serve, and to give. The more grateful we become, the more we feel moved to offer our kindness, whether through words, deeds, or simply being present for those in need. Compassion born from gratitude is not born out of obligation, but out of a genuine recognition of the interconnectedness of all beings. Another profound benefit of gratitude in Buddhist practice is its ability to bring an inner peace. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and constant striving, finding peace can seem impossible. Yet, the practice of gratitude helps us to quiet the mind. When we focus on the blessings in our lives, we stop grasping for more, stop yearning for what we don't have. In doing so, we experience a deep sense of contentment. The Buddha taught that true peace comes from within, not from external circumstances, but from the stillness of a grateful heart. Gratitude brings us back to the present moment, where peace resides, instead of worrying about the future or regretting the past. We can simply be present with what is, appreciating each breath, each step, each moment. The Buddha's teachings on mindfulness help us understand that peace is not something to be found in a far-off place, but something that already exists within us. Gratitude helps us access that inner peace by grounding us in the now, making us aware of the simple joys that surround us. And the impact of gratitude extends beyond our minds and hearts. It reaches into our physical well-being as well. Research has shown that practicing gratitude regularly can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and improve sleep. But for the Buddha, the benefits were even more profound. He taught that the practice of gratitude leads to mental clarity, the ability to see life as it truly is, without the distortions of greed or fear. When we are grateful, we release the mental tension that comes from wanting, fearing, or resisting. We become more present, more connected, and, as a result, more at peace. Gratitude also plays a key role in cultivating wisdom, which is central to Buddhist practice. The Buddha taught that wisdom arises when we see things as they truly are, when we understand the impermanent nature of all things, the interconnectedness of all life, and the truth of suffering. Gratitude is an essential part of this process. When we practice gratitude, we are reminded of the transient beauty of life, and we begin to see the impermanence of everything with a sense of acceptance. This understanding leads us to deeper wisdom, as we stop clinging to things that cannot last, and instead open ourselves to the present moment. The Buddha said, "Gratitude is the antidote to all sorrow." This is a powerful teaching. By focusing on what we have, rather than what we lack, we open ourselves to a life filled with abundance, abundance not of possessions or accomplishments, but of love, peace, and joy. Gratitude shifts our perception, lifting us from the darkness of dissatisfaction into the light of contentment and peace. Finally, gratitude brings us closer to enlightenment. In Buddhism, enlightenment is the ultimate goal, the state of complete liberation from suffering and ignorance. Gratitude plays an integral role on this path. As we practice gratitude, we release our attachments to ego and self-centered desires. We begin to see life through the eyes of wisdom and compassion, and as a result, we step closer to the truth of who we truly are. Gratitude is a pathway that leads us from the ordinary to the extraordinary, from the mundane to the divine. It is the gateway to a life of spiritual fulfillment, where we recognize the interconnectedness of all things and experience the deep peace that comes with it. So, as you walk the path of gratitude, know that it is not just a practice, it is a journey that brings you closer to peace, to compassion, to wisdom, and ultimately, to enlightenment. And every step you take in gratitude is a step toward freedom, the freedom to experience life in its fullest, most beautiful form. Section 6. Gratitude beyond the individual. A collective Buddhist perspective. Imagine standing in the middle of a busy marketplace, surrounded by the hustle and bustle of everyday life. People move past you, each caught in their own thoughts, their own lives, Some are rushing to make a living, others are lost in conversation, while a few pause to admire the vibrant colors of the fruits and flowers displayed in the stalls. As you stand there, taking in the scene, you feel something stirring within you, a deep, quiet awareness. You begin to realize that you are not just one solitary being moving through the world. No, you are part of this vast, living network of interconnected lives. The smiles, the frowns, the movements, the exchanges, all of them are woven together, each person contributing to the fabric of life in their own way. In that moment, gratitude begins to bloom not just for the life you have, but for the lives of all those around you. This is where the true power of gratitude expands beyond the individual, to encompass a sense of collective interdependence. The Buddha's teachings remind us that gratitude is not just a personal practice, it is a universal one. It is a force that transcends the boundaries of the self and connects us to the entire world. The Buddha saw that the suffering of one is the suffering of all, and the joy of one is the joy of all. This realization calls us to not only be grateful for the blessings in our own lives, but to recognize the gifts and sacrifices of others, both near and far. In doing so, we honor the profound truth of our shared existence. In Buddhism, we are taught the principle of interconnectedness, the understanding that all beings are part of a larger whole. This means that our actions, our thoughts, and our emotions ripple out into the world, affecting those around us in ways we may never fully understand. When we cultivate gratitude, we are not just giving thanks for the things we receive in our own lives. We are expressing our deep appreciation for the entire web of existence, the unseen forces, the hidden efforts, and the countless beings whose lives contribute to our own. Take a moment and think about all the unseen people who help create the life you lead. The workers who grow the food you eat, the teachers who share their wisdom, the artists who inspire you with their creations, and the countless others whose contributions often go unnoticed. Gratitude in this context becomes an act of acknowledging and honoring those whose lives are intertwined with ours. It is a way of saying, I see you, I am grateful for you, even if I do not always recognize the full scope of your presence in my life. In the Buddhist view, gratitude for all beings is a powerful practice. It reminds us that we are not isolated individuals living separate lives. We are part of a vast, interconnected network of life, each person, each creature, and each plant contributing to the whole. The Buddha often spoke of metta-loving kindness and karuna compassion, qualities that arise when we recognize the inherent value in every being. Gratitude is the natural extension of these qualities. When we practice gratitude, we see not only the goodness in ourselves, but also in others. We begin to understand that every person, no matter their circumstances, is deserving of our appreciation, compassion, and respect. The Buddha's teachings also emphasize the importance of gratitude toward the natural world. In many Buddhist traditions, there is a deep reverence for the earth, for the mountains, rivers, and forests that sustain life. The Buddha often spoke about the beauty and the sacredness of nature, encouraging his followers to develop a sense of awe and respect for the natural world. Gratitude for nature, in this sense, is not just about appreciating its beauty, but recognizing that we are sustained by it in countless ways. The food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink, these are gifts from the earth. When we take a moment to express our gratitude for the natural world, we reconnect with the very source of life itself. We also become more mindful of the ways in which our actions affect the earth, cultivating a sense of responsibility to protect and preserve the world around us. Gratitude, in this collective sense, extends beyond individual acts of appreciation to encompass social and communal bonds. The Buddha taught that true happiness arises not from individual success or wealth, but from harmonious relationships with others. This means that when we practice gratitude, we are also cultivating a sense of gratitude for our communities, the people we share our lives with, the neighbors who look out for one another, the friends who offer their support. In the Buddhist tradition, community or sangha plays a crucial role in spiritual development. It is within the community that we find the opportunity to practice compassion, patience, and understanding. Gratitude for the sangha is not just about appreciating the support of others, but recognizing that we are all interconnected, all walking the same path of awakening. The Buddha also reminded us of the importance of gratitude for the teachings that guide us on our journey. In Buddhism, we have the Dharma, the teachings that show us the way to liberation. Gratitude for the Dharma is an acknowledgement that these teachings have the power to transform our lives, to bring us from suffering to peace, from ignorance to wisdom. The Buddha's words are not just the teachings of a man from long ago, but a living truth that resonates in our hearts today. When we cultivate gratitude for the Dharma, we honor the wisdom that has been passed down through generations, from the Buddha to his disciples, to the teachers who continue to share his wisdom with us today. And then, there is gratitude for the Buddha himself, the awakened one, who, through his own profound realization, discovered the path to freedom and compassion. The Buddha's teachings are a gift to the world, and it is through our gratitude for him and his wisdom that we are inspired to walk the path of awakening ourselves. His life serves as a beacon, showing us what is possible when we live with awareness, compassion, and gratitude. In the collective perspective, gratitude becomes a practice that extends beyond the individual, touching every being and every aspect of life. It calls us to see the world as it truly is, a vast, interconnected web of life, where each person, each act of kindness, and each breath we take is part of the same unfolding story. Gratitude in this sense becomes a reminder of our shared humanity and our shared responsibility to care for one another, for the earth, and for all beings. As you walk through life, remember that gratitude is not just a personal practice. It is a practice that connects you to the entire world, to every being, every moment, and every experience. It is a practice that transcends the self and opens the heart to the vastness of existence. And in this collective gratitude, we find the true essence of Buddhism, the understanding that we are all one, bound together by love, compassion, and the shared journey toward awakening. Conclusion: as you sit in stillness, reflecting on the path you've just walked, you begin to feel the quiet power of gratitude settling deep within your heart. It's a gentle, yet profound shift, a realization that gratitude is not just something you feel, it is something you become. As the Buddha taught, gratitude is not a temporary emotion, but a way of living, a lens through which we see the world. It is a practice that opens the heart, clears the mind, and allows us to touch the sacredness of life in its purest form. Throughout this journey, we've explored how gratitude, as taught by the Buddha, transcends the simple act of saying, "Thank you." It is the foundation of mindfulness, the gateway to compassion, and the bridge to enlightenment. Gratitude teaches us to see the world not as a place of lack, but as a place of abundance, a world where each moment is a gift, where every person we meet, every experience we encounter, is part of the interconnected web of life. In this web, we are not isolated beings, but threads woven together, each of us contributing to the whole. The practice of gratitude helps us to recognize that, and in doing so, it transforms the way we live. When we begin to practice gratitude, we free ourselves from the burdens of negativity and suffering. We release anger, resentment, and fear, allowing them to dissolve in the warmth of appreciation. We stop clinging to what we lack and begin to see the wealth that is already present in our lives. We learn to embrace life as it is imperfect, fleeting, and beautiful. This practice is a doorway to inner peace, to the calm acceptance of life's ever-changing nature. But gratitude does more than heal our hearts. It opens us to others. As we recognize the interdependence of all beings, we begin to feel a deeper connection to the people in our lives and even to those we've never met. Gratitude is the root of compassion, the natural response to seeing the world with clear eyes. When we are grateful, we cannot help but want to share that gratitude with others, to offer kindness, to give without expectation. This is the power of gratitude. It not only transforms us, but ripples out, touching the lives of others in ways we may never fully understand. And so, as you continue on your journey, I invite you to carry the practice of gratitude with you like a quiet flame that illuminates your path. Each day, take a moment to pause and reflect on the blessings in your life. Big and small, express your gratitude to the people who have shaped you, to the world that sustains you, and to the life that unfolds before you. Let gratitude be the thread that ties each moment together, the lens through which you see every interaction and every experience. The Buddha's teachings remind us that the path to peace, to wisdom, and to awakening begins with a simple, yet profound, gratitude. It is the key that unlocks the door to a life of deeper meaning and connection. When we live with gratitude in our hearts, we align ourselves with the very essence of life itself. And in that alignment, we find the peace, the joy, and the love that we seek. So, take a moment now, right here, right now, and breathe in deeply. Feel the gratitude in your chest, in your heart. Feel it spreading through your entire being, and know that, in this moment, you are part of something much greater than yourself. You are connected to the earth, to the people around you, to all beings. You are alive in this moment, and that is enough to be deeply, profoundly grateful for. With each breath, with each step, let gratitude guide you. It is the path, the practice, and the promise of peace. And in the light of gratitude, may you walk forward into each new day, carrying the love and wisdom that the Buddha so beautifully shared with the world.